Hi, this is Joyria Sulaiman. I was born blind due to a genetic disease. Usually, when people learn this fact, they think they know the end of my story. But once you've Googled me, however, you'll find a narrative that rewrites every stereotype, a story of breaking barriers and proving that limits are simply illusions. The word blind often brings to mind limitations, what someone cannot do instead of what they can. But the truth is, blindness didn't limit me. It shaped me. It taught me how to see the world differently and to realize that limitations exist only if we let them define us. This mindset has driven me to excel in the challenging International Baccalaureate IB program and to later pursue two rigorous majors, English and Comparative Literature, and Integrated Marketing and Communications at the American University in Cairo. Today, as a sophomore on a full excellence scholarship for academic achievement and leadership qualities, I continue to push boundaries. Along the way, I have cultivated a passion for reading, writing, creatively and academically, volunteering, and obviously, public speaking. As most of you might know, the IB program is one of the most challenging educational systems, and ironically, this is what drew me to it. I had the choice to pick between the American and IB systems, and while American is easier and more flexible, and I definitely don't mean any harm to any American diploma students, IB can be quite challenging, especially in subjects like math. There are many points of comparison between the two, and this was the reason for my confusion and the sharp divide in opinions that I faced while evaluating and considering this decision. I remember that the head of math department at my school told my mother, while I was present, that I shall not think of joining IB because I would definitely struggle to handle the notoriously difficult IB math. However, my parents were my biggest and strongest cheerleaders, and they assured me that even if I would struggle to handle math, I would definitely be able to compensate with my effort in the other 5 subjects. Personally, I was enthusiastic to join IB because it incorporates writing in every assessment, essays, reports, and even exams. And I know that many of you hate writing, and it's understandable, honestly, but this is actually one of my talents and one of the things that I'm very passionate about. Additionally, IB would grant me the opportunity to experiment with and research many engaging topics. And also, one of the very important reasons and a futuristic lens that I want to give you, it's IB is very important because it will help you by waiving college credit, especially in universities abroad. And this will help you graduate earlier, and perhaps it will make it easier for you to go through the college courses that you're going to take with ease and familiarity. Also, because it will expose you to lots of stress and time management issues, it will help you to deal with them later when you're exposed to them in university. Thankfully, acknowledging these reasons and exerting abundant effort paid off, and I became the first blind Egyptian woman to obtain the IB diploma while also being my class valedictorian. One of the 6 subjects I studied in IB was biology. I also studied geometry and trigonometry, which are highly visual branches of math. And I know that many of you must be wondering, how could you study such visual subjects? Biology has so many diagrams, it has a lot of images coming from organisms that are seen under microscopes. So how? But let me tell you that there are so many extraordinary devices and machines that help us during our journey. Especially, there are machines that serve the purpose of transforming any regular drawings into puffed, textured ones that I can touch with my hand. There are also types of paper that display raised lines once drawn on with a regular pen, like this very regular thin pen. If you draw on a certain kind of paper, it will show you the lines and the triangles and all of the geometric shapes in a raised fashion. And there are also 3D models made of plastic and wood that help facilitate the learning process in a way that is tangible. Anyway, let's move on from academics because this is a lot. So apart from that, I was able to win the first place in the Haya art competition with a craft that I made about the with a craft that I made about the Australian fires using natural materials. So not only did I see the world differently, but I expressed it differently with the power of detailed sensory experiences. On the other hand, and despite of the fact that I'm not very athletic, nor am I interested in sports, and I'm always called a panda by so many people, but I played so many sports during my youth, including but not limited to swimming, water ballet, horseback riding, and even cycling. And I know that cycling is one of the scary ones, but honestly, feeling the breeze and the gusts of wind freshly blowing in my face always gave me the urge to keep pedaling faster and faster, unnerved by any obstacles that might come on my way. And this is especially because I always cycled with a sighted peer on my side, usually my beloved uncle. One of the many exhilarating activities I also did, other than skiing and sandboarding, was ziplining. When I stood at the top of the zipline platform for the very first time, I was not thinking about the height or the rush of adrenaline that was about to hit. I was actually thinking about another thing. How could I do this without seeing a single thing below me? That's right, blind and ziplining. Using the white cane, which is a long stick that helps blind and visually impaired individuals navigate and detect obstacles, I was able to travel independently, camp in the middle of the desert, right in the middle of nowhere, and go out with my friends in clubs and malls. I was also able to memorize spacious places like the AUC campus. And fortunately, because I was lucky and I had access to so many resources, and I was blessed with my aware, encouraging parents, and I was also visually rehabilitated in a wonderful vision rehabilitation center called Basira Foundation, all of these factors helped build me a normal life. And therefore, I was determined to help unlock the potentials of those who were less fortunate by spreading awareness, even if it's in answering a random question from a stranger. And let me give you a fun fact here. We as blind and visually impaired individuals are never offended when we are asked any question, no matter how weird it might seem. Even if it's how we see colors, how do we dream, or what made you blind in the first place. All of these questions are totally normal, and we enjoy answering them all the time. My efforts in advocacy actually began when I started advocating for the success the visually impaired individuals can achieve. My first station was actually to advocate for the success they could achieve under the IB diploma, especially while using assistive devices like talking calculators and screen readers. And let me explain what a screen reader is. This is basically software that can be installed on any smart device, mobiles or laptops, and it serves the purpose of enunciating everything that's on the screen. So once I move around or I use my keyboard and I come across any element on the screen, it reads it, whether it's text or I'm browsing the internet or whatever it is that I'm doing. Also, I spoke about the diverse and unique career pursuits that the visually impaired individuals can attain, including but not limited to becoming engineers, graphic designers, and many more unbelievable jobs that they can do once they have the right support and once they are adequately trained. I also spoke at many different international schools and many different multinational companies, giving workshops about disability and how to deal with it. Honestly, I truly believe in the power of advocacy. It can truly shape lives and it can change so many things. And I would like to tell you that you should always stand up for what you believe in. Always use your voice to fight for your rights and to slowly evoke change. It might take years or even centuries, but you will notice every little improvement and feel proud that you've pushed for it one day. Frankly, my life wasn't all sunshine and roses because I faced the social and psychological trouble of bullying at school. Let me be honest here, this is quite a difficult subject, but many of my classmates and school colleagues would mock me and use hurtful words to address me. Many would refuse to sit with me during break times and would slowly leave the tables one by one. Many would actually give me wrong directions to classrooms and such, and this would result in me tripping over or bumping into things. Others would actually consider blindness as my weakness to grab things out of my hands or off of my desk and start running. I remember once that a boy took my laptop charger and started running around. And by the time I chased him to get it, I was sharply scolded by my teacher and I lost some marks. Yet, I always perceived blindness as my strength, and through so many strategic moves, like befriending some of my bullies, ignoring some, talking to my principal, or even initiating open conversations with them to express my feelings and to talk about my differences and to answer their questions, things started to get better and the situation was resolved. And therefore, I grew into a leader and an advocate due to the support of my teachers and my colleagues at school. And to not take so much of your time, I'd like to give you my philosophy and my motto in life, which is that I can do everything that sighted people do, but in different ways and by using different materials and techniques. And let me also tell you a quote that has always inspired me throughout my journey, and I hope that you can contemplate it and reflect about it, because it will definitely teach you how to carefully interact with different people, especially that most of you are nearing college life, where you're going to meet so many different people, and the scope of diversity and multiplicity will definitely widen a lot. And this quote actually says, disabled doesn't mean defective, the same way that able-bodied doesn't mean perfect. So we don't demand perfection, not from you and not from us as well. But that also doesn't mean that any of us are inferior, no matter our differences. And lastly, let me tell you, if I can, you can.